Okay, so in this session, we are going to add the edit and the remove button for all individual to-dos. So what we will do is, we will come to our this UI where we are rendering our to-dos. So here we have span, right, which is our to-do text. And here we will add a div where we will have those buttons. So we'll have two buttons, button or edit. Let's see. Yeah, we have the edit button here and we have the remove. We have the edit button and we have the remove button. Okay, so on editing, as soon as user clicks edit, that to do should be shown here, and instead of add, it should become update button, and once the editing is done, this should reflect in the actual to do, right? So, and once we click on remove, that individual to do should be removed from the list. So let's do the remove part first. So for remove part, we are going to create a function called remove to do. So like we have add to do, we will have const remove to do. It's one single to do. Okay, and console.log inside remove to do, and let's pass this to the on click of remove, and let's see if it is working. Let's clear our log, remove. So that is working fine. So if that is working fine, let's also add the so how would we know which to do we have to remove, right? So we have to pass something from that remove button. So I think what we have is we have unique to do IDs, so we can pass like this. What we can pass is to do dot ID, and in our to do we can accept that ID here as a parameter, and let's just console log that as well. Now we know, as we're going to click on remove 1 2 3, remove that unique ID of that to do, which will make us find that to do from the list using that ID, and we will remove it. So for that, we are going to again have to use, okay, so we are going to maybe create one, let's create one temp to do's, so that we will filter out the to do's, accept that to do with that ID, const filter to do's, and we are going to do to do's dot filter to do, and we are going to get all the filters which are not matching that ID. So to do dot ID is not equal to the ID we just passed, and then finally we are going to just set the to do's to our filtered to do's, and let's see if it is working as expected. Remove. Gone. Let's reload. So we have our hard-coded initial state to do's. We will remove it later. So yeah, so now we are done with the remove individual to do part. Now let's get the edit part. So once user clicks on edit, we want to know that user has started editing, so that we can show whatever, so we know what to do user is trying to edit, so we need to have the to-do ID, we need to have the to-do text, and then that we will display it here, and based on that we can give user the option to update it, and once the update is done we need to stop editing, so that as soon as we stop editing, that updated to do is going to be added to this list and is going to reflect here. So for now, as soon as user clicks on to do, let's create a function called start editing, right? So let's create a function here, const start editing. Okay, and let's pass this function on this click start editing, and we are not just going to use it like this. We have to pass the to do text and the to do ID, right? So we will do to do dot ID comma to do dot text, and in the start editing function we are going to accept two parameters, ID comma to do, which is the text. Okay, let's do text. Okay, and we are going to create another state variable called ID, editing ID, so that we know which to do is getting edited. So let's call const editing ID set editing ID is equal to null. Yeah, for default we will do it as a null. Okay. So now as soon as user starts editing, we are going to call the set editing ID, and we are going to give the ID of the to do which is being edited. So in this case it will be just the ID, and finally we will also do set input text as text, so that it will, as soon as I select this, it will have watch a movie. As soon as I select grocery, it will have grocery here, because what we have is, as soon as user selects an input text, we show it in this input box, right? Now we have this edit. All we know right now is we are starting the editing. Now what we need to do is actual edit, right? Where we can come here and edit it, right? And it will be updating the input text, which now we don't have to click on add, because if you click on add, it will be added as a new to do. So here we would want to click on update, right? And how we would differentiate whether it's add or update is based on that editing ID. We have created a editing ID, and we have set as soon as we click on edit, we have set the ID of this grocery as the editing ID. So now what we can do first here is, in this to this input container, right, this we have here, we can put a condition that if editing ID is present, right, if editing ID is present, then show update, else show add, right? So let me reload. You see add is gone. As soon as I click on edit, then only that update button is there. So that is the first part. And now what we want to do is, when user clicks on updating here, we have to pass a function. We will create a function called submit edit, right? So we will create a function called const submit edit, and we will pass it to this button, So do stop editing and save it into our current to-do list. Now here in the submit edit, I already know which to-do is getting edited using the editing ID. I already know the edited text because I am using the same input text for that. So let's just check if editing ID first and input text dot trim. I mean, it's not an empty, then only we will let you edit. If you are right, if it is like that, then okay, let's create a again a function. Let's create a const filter to dos, and what we will do here is not filter to dos. So what we want to do is, if the editing ID is present, we will just replace that text of that ID, right? Else we will keep the, if the todo.id matches the ID, right, we will iterate, and then if the ID matches that particular to-do, we will just replace the text, else we will keep the to-do like that, right? So let's create a const temp to-dos, and here we will do to-dos dot map. So we will iterate, then we will get each to-do, right? We will get each to-do, and then we will check if to-do dot id is equal to the editing ID. If that is the case, then for what we will do, using a spread operator, we will get the ID and the current value of the to-do, so to-do, and then we will just update the text. So for that, we'll just do text, and whatever the new input text was, dot trim, right? Else we will keep whatever was in the to-do. If this to-do.id does not match editing ID, which means we will just keep the existing value, so nothing changes. And once that is done, we will call our set to-dos, and we will get this temp to-dos list assigned to our set to-dos. And once that is done, we need to put that editing ID back to null, and we need to clear this as well, right? So what we will do is, we will do set editing ID as null and set input text as an empty string. Let's see if that works. So reload. So let me add a to-do, blah blah blah, add. I have edit. Okay, as I clicked on edit, this editing ID got set of this ID, right? And now I can do remove one blah here, and I can click on update, and what you see here is that got updated. If you see the difference here, blah blah versus blah blah blah, right? And it's back, it's gone, the input string is gone. And I can do it again, grocery, I can do running update. So okay, perfect. So what we did was, we have updated to do, and we have removed a to do as part of this session. And next session, we are going to wrap up the functionality part. We are going to do the search to dos and the remove all, which is a very simple one. All we need to do is set our to dos to an empty array, right? So we will close the functionality part and then followed by the styling part. So that's all for now. Thank you.